Carlson here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Hello, Rush Nation, and welcome back to this week's Flagship show. I'm going to be your host, Dan, as always, at the minute, and you'll be pleased to see, as I am, we are joined again by Murf. He's back on his feet and hopefully feeling better. How are you doing, Murf?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Gutted to miss last week. You did a phenomenal job with everyone. It was great to see all the work and that everyone's doing, and it was a real celebration. It was a phenomenal pod.
Get a proper insight into everybody and what they're doing, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was an amazing pod. So, yeah, great work on that, and yeah, you really ran with it because I left you in a bit of a late hole. So apologies. I've very rarely ever miss a pod due to illness or sickness, but I just did not have the energy last Monday, or the voice. I coughed so much. My voice was really not in a state to do a pod. But week on, feel a lot better. I wouldn't say I'm 100%, but I'm definitely a lot closer. And I'm excited for tonight. We did have an amazing guest, a good friend of mine, coming on, but unfortunately he has tested positive for COVID. So not feeling 100%. So
stuck a pin in that one.
Yeah. But that's okay. We are going to do something interesting tonight, which is to get our first look at mock draft and see what 2022 redraft looks like. And I think it's a really fun exercise to do before the draft because you don't know the rookies where they're going to play next season. So a bit of it is faith, but it's just interesting because we've had free agency now, so you've had a lot of player movement, more than probably any other free agency period I can remember, like significant player movement, especially in the skill position. So I think it's interesting now to kind of just take stock, and redraft players tend to take their guidance from analysts, from guides and things like that. No one's really talking about redraft because it doesn't really wake up until June. This is, we've got some cool friends on from all over the globe that are taking part in this. And I thought it was a really fun idea because not many, just to get an idea of where players are going. Because, everyone's in dynasty mode right now and everyone's thinking about rookies and everyone's thinking about this. So there's no doubt in my mind we're going to see rookies go higher than maybe they should in this draft. But I do think it's going to be a very, very fun draft. So I'm looking forward to this. We've got some cool friends who will mention them as we go through. And it's going to be very, very quick. So why don't you... I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah, so to summarize what we're doing, we've got a 12-team, 1 QB redraft mock, I guess. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex spots. We've also got a kicker and defense in there, just as that's how most leagues are set up and run currently. But we wanted to go for single QB. It's still the core of most redrafts at this stage, although Superflex is becoming increasingly popular. 16 rounds. And we're just going to have a look through, see what they fall. As Murph says, I think some of the rookies will be drafted earlier than perhaps they should or expected. I'm also interested to see how people like Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, following their big moves, quite where they sort of fit into this now. Both undoubtedly almost first-round picks last year, and see how that's affected, especially in a 1 QB, they would have been, without doubt.
Absolutely. So I completely agree with you. So we've got some, you're in here. We haven't randomized the order yet. I'm just literally about to do that. We've got some friends across the US. We've got some friends in 5 Yard family. Shout out to Joe Pepe and Kevin Tompkins and JB, who are good friends of mine. Luke, Paul, Adam from the 5 Yard staff are here. A couple of players that I play with as well in different leagues. So we've got some fun. This is a fun group. I'm looking forward to this. I'm just going to randomize literally the order now. I still kept the 101, which is bizarre.
That's handy for you.
Yeah. Well, it's handy for the draft. At least we're not that close. We're a few picks together. So just a reminder, this is a 10-second pick. I'm going to pick on my phone as opposed to the laptop. So I am going to look down at my screen. So
I have an iPad next to me, so we're fine.
So I'm literally going to hit start on this now, and with 10 seconds. First pick is pretty. I think this is going to be the chalky 101 everywhere we go, which is Jonathan Taylor, which I know some people can't wait to slam me on, given I said I didn't think he was worth a first-round pick last year. So here we're going to see some players go off the season. Justin Jefferson at 2, Christian McCaffrey at 3. You've got Derrick Henry at 4.
I have. I thought McCaffrey might have just dropped into there, but
yeah,
not to be.
Again, this is redraft, so this is going to be changing the facets a little bit. Eckler. So I've been doing a couple of these sort of mocks. I tend to take Eckler at 4. I think he's well worth a top 4 pick
over Dalvin Cook.
Over Dalvin Cook. Yep. The injury concerns, plus especially in PPR, we know that Eckler's role is pretty safe. So I think for me that makes sense. Cooper Kupp. So again, the player you're looking at 4th, 5th round last year. He's going middle of the first. Najee Harris doesn't surprise too many people. Okay, so that was an auto pick, and that was Tyreek Hill going at the. It would have been the 8 or the 9. Would have been the 9 spot. I don't think he would really go there. I'd have him probably as a second.
Not
round.
Since the move. If he was in the Chiefs, I think that's fair.
I'm going to take that.
Were you surprised at Jefferson going at the 2nd?
Yeah, I guess that's someone who's probably not a heavy running back fan. So let's take our logo off there. So that doesn't surprise me. Adams and Kelsey. There we go. Kelsey, I think there is a good spot. I think, I think getting him in the back end of the first with where things are now, I think that's I think it's a great steal to get him at the 2-1. For sure.
Chase at 2-2.
I think I mean, I expect some touchdown regression coming from his way, but that kind of makes sense. I probably would have gone Diggs over Chase, but that's a great pick, by the way. Javonte Williams, sort of mid-second, I think is really good value. I think
even though Williams not elsewhere yet.
Yeah, I think he's the sole back there. I'd be pretty good with him. Kamara's a great fall there, by the way, to 208. I think that's a steal. You've got Debo. Okay.
I have. I didn't like Elliott there.
Okay.
I'm hoping the next running back makes it back to me that I've got my eye on. So I thought I'd pick a premium wide receiver at that slot. No, there you go. There goes my PPR running back.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones. The way the Packers are set right now, he should get most of that receiving work.
Yeah. Tompkins has gone in the chat. Chase is never lasting to there. I don't know. I think he might do because I do think there's some baked-in touchdown regression coming his way. But so here's a question coming up. Do you think we're going to see a QB come off the board in this round?
No.
Okay. I think you might see Allen go. I think you might see Allen go before the end of the round, maybe.
Yeah.
So who have we got come off the board? Deontay Johnson, that's a...
He didn't surprise me. Wide receiver 2 at 3.
On, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Josh Allen has gone 3-9.
Yeah.
3-7.
I expected, that's about where I expect Allen to go in drafts this year. Somewhere between
Mahomes
3,
just
4,
on this next term coming, maybe.
Yeah, maybe around later, I think. See, that's late for Mike Evans. I think that's great value there.
Before Godwin as well, which I'm surprised.
No, I don't think that's a surprise, not especially coming off the injury. I think that's probably right. Fournette is a steal at 310, 312. I don't think you're getting Fournette there.
Yeah. He picked up 2 decent backs in Fournette and Montgomery.
Yeah, you'd be happy with that. So there you go. There's Mahomes at 4-2. Kyle Pitts. That's early for me for Kyle Pitts.
Oh, Michael Thomas.
Yeah,
I don't know. Michael Thomas coming back to me.
Yeah,
not to be.
So who have we got? James Conner there at 4.5, I think is decent value. Jalen Waddle, I think he's a really interesting pick now here to see what he's going to be doing. I wouldn't be surprised if his price falls even lower than that. Judy, solid pick.
I'm a Judy fan. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Hasn't quite delivered enough for me as of yet.
So you've gone DJ Moore. Metcalf comes off the board here. So Travis Etienne's come off the board. I am going to take Godwin here. I think he's fine value.
I was tempted with my DJ Moore pick, but as you say,
I'm probably going to take Damian Harris here.
Nice pick.
I just don't want part of Jacobs, to be honest. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I didn't think there was. And I don't really want Elijah Mitchell on any of my teams this year, if I'm truly honest with myself. You got Michael Pittman. I love that pick.
Maybe reached a little bit, but if I was at the back end of the draft, I think I'd have made it there. But
I like
a long way to get back to me again.
Justin Herbert, QB3 off the board.
No surprise.
I mean, in Dynasty, I get it. I think in Redraft, I think that's a little.
Instead of Lamar, Lamar might have been there.
I don't know. I think you kind of got this tier right, and I think it's down to whatever you kind of want out of that tier. There's some interesting builds here coming along. So that was a got-up pick who's a timeout. We've got some interesting builds coming here. A few have gone very wide receiver heavy, not very running backs. Yeah, and Kevin.
4, yeah.
There's Lamar's gone off the board here.
Come on.
There's Edwards-Helaire.
Michael Carter snuck in there at 5'9".
Yeah, decent pick there. So Aaron Robinson. I think that's a great pick. Team 12 have built a really solid team there.
Yeah. And then they got that Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I think Miles Sanders is due a huge touchdown, positive regression. I mean, he didn't score last year with all the workload that he had. I think he's well worth a pickup there. It's a tough one at the. I mean, when you look at the 6th round running backs here, there's not really.
I am looking at the 6th round running backs.
There's not many here that you want loads from.
I'm now trying to look at who's going to get work, basically.
Yeah. Brandon Cooks, Adam Thielen, Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith off the board. Kyler Murray off the board. That's a good pick there.
Yeah, it's not a lot of time, is it, to work what you're doing here? I'm going to go AJ Dillon. He had a lot of red zone work last year. Jones can get injured. Amon Ra. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I just don't feel comfortable putting Dak Prescott there. I might change through the season, but Burrow would be I just think Rodgers, I think they're going to get a top receiver, and I think he's going to pull in solid numbers there. I'm quite happy to take him in the 7th.
Yeah.
I know what I'm getting there. I'm getting a solid QB who's going to be top 5, top 6. I'm quite happy to pull a punt there.
We're still seeing Kevin Nash at 3, still with only one running back. Okay, it is Christian McCaffrey.
Standard Kevin Tompkins build there.
Yeah. Hunter Renfro, 7-7. Even with the addition of Devonta Adams to the side.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm by that. Be interesting to see. Some interesting picks going on here for sure.
Dude.
Darnell Mooney, I think, is solid there. I expect Justin Fields to take an arrow up this year.
What are we going to look at? Where is 12 going?
Chase Claypool, I think, is someone who can arrow up this year. I think that's decent value. Get him into the 7th. I think that's solid. Gabe Davis. He's going to be a really interesting player to watch this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Joe's got 2 QBs. Look at that.
Oh,
Bold strategy, that. Christian Kirk. I have no idea what to do with Christian Kirk this year.
no. Rashad Penny too. He's re-signing, isn't he? But with the Seahawks.
Yeah. No, he's there for another year. Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I had
Someone
no idea
hoping
making
he-
it to me. Didn't.
Who's Devin Singletary?
Yeah. I've got my next running back coming out here though. I'm not sure you'll like it, but
Oh, come on, dude.
I just
Not sure.
realised that we mentioned rookies, but for some reason it only went to vets. That's why no rookies are off the board. That's fine.
it's done now.
Rookie. Yeah. I was wondering why I couldn't find rookies. And I was like, oh yeah. I thought I turned it on.
Chris Carson, brave move. Same round as Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
I think he'll come back from the neck injury.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine.
Fair.
And I've taken DJ Chark. Sorry, Russell Gage there. I looked at DJ
Yeah,
Chark
I
and
like-
then remembered I had Amon-Ra St. Brown. So
I like Russell Gage.
yeah,
year.
I think I know I've
Oh,
got
it was me.
Godwin.
Sorry, I missed that. That was me.
Oh, you got James Robinson.
Too busy trying to
Yeah.
host the show.
And I've already got I know I got Godwin, but I just like
I'm okay
I
with
like
James
Gage.
Robinson as my RB4. I can handle that upside. That is upside.
Come on.
3 of them out.
There's a lot of tight ends off the board already.
There is
That
a lot
does
of tight
strike
ends. There's DJ Shark. Expecting big things from him. I'm a big fan of his anyway. And I like him on that Detroit side. Many people will.
Baltimore Alan Lazard. So these are now the team. These are the interesting rounds. Like in terms of you've got a lot of players who could be seen as a bit of a
Upside now,
match. Yeah, I mean you want to find players here who are going to be giving you some value.
I have lost my sleeper app on my iPad. This is going to be a mad panic to get back in.
You better hope someone takes up some clock here.
I've got it on my phone now.
Well, there's
Swung it around.
That's so high for Chenault. I can't even see him getting drafted in a lot of leagues.
Sean Watson could miss
Yeah.
half a year.
I think that's interesting. Tyler Boyd's a good pick there. Talking 10th round, I think that's more than solid. Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm looking at QB here.
Yeah, I knew you'd go Brady. I had that in my head.
10th round. I wondered if he'd make 11, seeing as the 3 before me have got a QB, but
Yeah, I didn't think he would
Upside.
have done. This is an interesting range here. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers. And I'm probably going to take a gamble on Tua.
okay.
Just QB2, my QB2. Have a look. If he ends up becoming, we think with the weapons he's got to be arrow up. As long as he's going to be bye-week filler and maybe a bit extra. But if he ends up rocketing, he's someone I could trade.
Yep.
My feeling here. And I looked at what was available and I thought there's not much else I really want in this sort of range that's kind of really screaming to me as a value.
Well, that's why I picked Gronkowski there. He hasn't even signed yet, but if he comes back,
Yeah.
he's got big weeks in him, right? So I'll gamble. Look at the other tight ends; they're all hit or miss. None of them off the upside that Gronk does at that spot.
Robbie Anderson, Darrell Henderson, Parker. Parker was the one I was tossing up between Parker and Myers.
Yeah.
Myers, I think, is a pretty solid PPR option. Raheem Mostert, I think, is great value, by the way, that late. I think he's someone who could play a factor in Miami, potentially. Julio Jones, he's not even got a team, is he?
Nope.
Someone's on auto. McCall Hardman. Someone still believes that the McCall Hardman breakout is real.
Oh, we've got back-to-back QB.
Fields, Lawrence. Yeah, go with the rookies. Tim Patrick. It's going to be an interesting watch this year.
I like Tim Patrick. And there's Curtis Samuel, the man eyes on for the next pick.
Braxton Barrios.
Oh,
I just don't know. Not with them. I'm not sure. I think they're going to go either elite wide receiver or they're going to draft a receiver, and I think that pushes him down some.
Well,
boards.
I've got a Jets wide receiver right up after Curtis Samuel went. I'm looking at Corey Davis if he makes it to me here.
Yeah.
There he is.
Oh, kicker off the board in the 12th round. I can never advocate that as a strategy. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Albert O there, you buying into that one?
No, I'm going to go somewhere a bit safer and take Hunter Henry.
Oh no, Kevin Tompkins took Albert O there.
I'm going to take a punt on Trey Sermon, though. I think Trey Sermon could have a chance of winning that job back.
Back up tight end. Well, I think there could be big things coming this year. Naheem Hines could be a value pick there. PPR league.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, dude.
So yeah, now we got all these sort of rag running backs coming off the board here.
Marlon Mack though at Houston.
Yeah, I think they draft one. So I think Marlon Mack's going to be a complimentary back. But if not, you're looking at him as a potential steal here. He's someone I've thought of, but I want people who are going to compete for jobs and teams that probably aren't going to draft a workhorse. There's definitely some really solidly interesting builds here. Nico Collins, Keyshawn Vaughn, so I guess he's handicapping his own running back there because he's got Fournette. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think, is a good pick there. I think he's sort of in your upside range there. Gus Edwards, Mac Jones. Mac Jones will bring you a solid week as a backup.
Yep.
Kenyon Drake, Matt Ryan.
Hopefully he delivers a bit more than last year when I was loaded with Matt Ryan.
Oh,
He lost Julio, he lost Calvin Ridley.
Yes,
And
Jarvis Landry. Oh,
That
Hey,
was
he's
my side
got
as
a
well,
team.
hasn't he? No, he hasn't. No. He
No.
will do though. He'll get picked up.
Yeah, he'll end up somewhere. AJ Green, don't think he's got a team either.
No.
Khalil Herbert, Jameis Winston. You still believe. I love
Hey,
it.
Jameis Winston as a quarterback's got his issues. Jameis Winston as a fantasy quarterback can deliver if you need him to. Because the penalty for interceptions isn't too harsh, right? We ain't going to get no kickers or... We'll get one kicker taken, ain't we?
Yeah, I won't be drafting a kicker.
Everybody's flexing kickers.
Yeah. Obviously, if you watch this from like a home league perspective, you probably would see a lot more kickers come off the board. But I don't think that's going to be too representative. There's definitely there's a lot for us to chew through when we're recapping this draft because I do think there's a lot of really interesting picks coming.
I've lost my internet. Oh, there it is. It's back.
Well, you got Kendrick Bourne.
That's what I picked. It'll come back. Yeah, it'll come back.
You got lucky there. Chargers D. Whew. Not sure I'd be taking the Chargers D as the first D off the board.
Who would you have? The Rams there, maybe?
That's a really good question. I'd probably be looking at. I think there's a few teams you go. Buccaneers, maybe.
Come on.
Bills.
For the ADP on D's and
Yeah,
Rams
I mean
are
the
way
ADP
down.
on the ADPs on D. Yeah, no one's drafting D's and this sort of policy. Patriots is a decent shout. They're always going to be a sort of a top D to keep an eye on. And there you go, Steelers D. I think they're probably be in contention of being one of the top Ds. It's a part of the risk of not of taking Logan Thomas there instead of taking a D is I'm going to be left with the 12th best DST, which is fine because I tend to probably stream them anyway.
There's still a few reasonable ones there.
There is still a few reasonable options here, so I'm not
going to
too.
take the Rams D.
Yeah, I
you've still got the Colts there. You've still got the
Colts are gone.
Colts are just gone.
I'm just going to take the Broncos.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We are done.
So that's our draft, nice and quick. That's what a 10-second per pick draft will do for you. We got that done in about 20 minutes. The beeping is still in my ear, which is quite annoying. So let's go through this team by team, right?
Top three yours.
So
we had a bit of it on the way, but
yeah, I mean Taylor's the consensus 101, I think. Would not shock me if he's the bona fide, but you have to go on last year's performance and reliability, lack of injuries, etc. He's always going to be up there for me. Aaron Jones. So there's a couple of names in consideration for me here. Leonard Fournette, Zeke Elliott, and Aaron Jones were the three I was thinking at this stage. I just think if there's not that many pass catching options, I think Aaron Jones can get a bit more work in that offense.
At the time I was hoping he'd come back, but he didn't. So. Which
makes me think he could be a decent option now. I think he's a pretty safe option. Fournette, I think, probably has the highest ceiling, but I think he is one of these that we've seen. It all depends on how his mental state is. If he's really in the zone and in it, as we've seen, he'll be a top 7 running back. But if he falls away or gets injured, and that's in the range of outcomes, you're kind of looking at. I couldn't begrudge either there, but it was a preference call there. AJ Brown's always capable of being a top 5, top 6 wide receiver. Loads of ceiling there. Chris Godwin, he's coming off injury.
If he can get healthy. Yeah.
Absolutely going to get a lot of targets in there. Damian Harris, I just think, as a touchdown, as an RB3, loads of touchdowns. Again, you're looking at who's sort of available in that range. Josh Jacobs, don't really know what's going to happen with Josh McDaniels there, but I'm not relying on him to be a workhorse. Michael Carter's definitely could be, but again, just with the Jets, with so many picks they've got, I'm not sure at this stage want to commit. I don't want Clyde Butler. That kind of just left me there with thinking, I don't want any part of Elijah Mitchell in drafts this year. Maybe I saw that 6th, 7th round price, I probably would, but I think he's going to go really high in drafts. I think he's going to end up being like a 3rd round pick, and I think that's nuts. So I'm quite happy to take Harris there as my RB3, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a guy down the stretch that was the wide receiver 2. I'm willing to take a leap there in sort of that 6-7 turn. Aaron Rodgers is probably the pick that I rushed and probably regret. I probably would have waited a bit longer and probably gone with Brady. I probably would have waited for the next turn in hindsight, but the one thing you get with Aaron Rodgers is fair consistency. He's not gonna cost you too many weeks. He's not gonna give you that high ceiling, but he's you're looking at a top 5 QB, so it is what it is. I don't want to take Dak Prescott there. I just think there's too much variance in Dak Prescott. And then there's Jalen Hurts was another consideration there with the rushing floor, but with the picks that the Eagles have got, I don't know. So I just went with a bit of safety there, but I probably regret that pick. Chris Carlson, I think, wins the job over Penny, and I think he's going to. It's all about fitness with him, but he has that ceiling at least for a few games to be an RB2. So to get him at an RB4 price, I'm quite happy. Russell Gage, I think, is going to be a PPR monster. I'm quite happy to take him in the 9th round all day, every day from Sunday. If you can give me him in the 9th round, I'm taking him in every single draft. Jacoby Myers as well, pretty safe player. I mean, he's not going to shoot the lights out here, but we're talking about the end of the 10th. I'm looking at the players around who went after him, and there's no one I would have over him who I think is going to do as good a job in terms of just getting regular points. The problem is he doesn't score touchdowns. Hopefully that they can sort that out this year. Tua, I think, is going to be a really interesting quarterback option. He's either going to be great or he's going to be awful. As a QB2, I'm quite happy to spin that up. Hunter Henry is a touchdown machine, and that's all I want in my tight ends. Late tight end, give me touchdowns. I don't care about yardages. I don't care about catches. Hunter Henry got a lot of touchdowns last year. I think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns this year. Trey Sermon, you got to people remember that Trey Sermon was drafted a lot earlier than Elijah Mitchell in drafts, and I think there's a player in there. If he's given an equal opportunity to try and win that job, he could win that job, and that's the truth. So I'm going to take a flyer on him. Again, at this point, anyone on my roster from here onwards, I'm quite happy to cut quite early on if it doesn't work out in camp. Van Jefferson, I think, is going to be a really interesting player. Again, similar to that sort of Russell Gage, I think there's going to be work there. But again, if it doesn't work, I'm quite happy to cut him. He's bench fodder here. Logan Thomas, the same. The Broncos D, because the Broncos D is stacked. It's got lots of those. Tough division, but that's going to give them lots of opportunities for turnovers and picks and scoring opportunities. So that's kind of where I'm at with my team. I it's solid. The problem with being on at the 101 is there's such a long gap between that you just end up losing some real value picks. I don't think the 101 is the position you want to be in this year in drafts. I think you want to be in dynasties. I think 101, 102, 103 is kind of where you want to be. In Superflex, probably the same. In a standard redraft like this, I think you want to be around about 4 where you are. I think that's probably the ideal spot. Because yes, you're going to miss out on Jonathan Taylor, but I think you've got the part of the draft which opens up, and I think you can pick up some really good picks there. So let's talk about your team.
Yeah, so round 1, Derrick Henry, yard monster. I kind of hope Christian McCaffrey fell because of the upside of picking him at 1-4, but wasn't to be. Didn't like the running backs coming back into us. I had my eye on Aaron Jones. Hoped he might have swung the corner, so decided to get a Deebo Samuel in there, who's got scores, got receptions. I think I've reached a bit for Deontay Johnson, but in a PPR league, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think he's He's definitely
looking at the other ones behind him: Hopkins, Allen, Evans. He's on a par with those. I don't think I'm any worse off, any detriment there for taking him. So I'm okay with that. New quarterback in town that can throw the ball for Pittsburgh as well. DJ Moore, quarterback worries me in Carolina, but the best receiver on the side by a mile, and we'll get points and receptions and targets as a result. Michael Pittman, again, I think I've reached a little bit for Michael Pittman, but he's got a clear path. He's got a new quarterback in town. I like the guy. I liked him and drafted him a lot coming out as a rookie anyway onto my dynasty rosters. So I'm hopeful for big things from him there. By this stage, I'm then looking at, I need to start filling running backs in. We're getting to the guys that now are part usage, I guess. So AJ Dillon, I think missing out on Jones, who'll pick up a lot of the receiving work there. Dillon shown he can do it on the floor. Dillon got a fair bit of red zone target even when Jones come back from his injury last year. So I'm looking really at the touchdowns there. And Jones did have an injury last year and could be quite susceptible again. So I'm okay shooting for that there. Hollywood Brown was in the top 10 of targets last year. So in a PPR league is my wide receiver 5 in the 7th round. I'll take that if Lamar's coming back. I'm okay there. Melvin Gordon, for me, I still think he'll go back to Denver. And if he does, I think he's feasible as an RB3 on a roster. If he doesn't and he goes elsewhere, I think he only is going to sign somewhere he's going to get guaranteed work. I don't think here's his own career will want to go elsewhere. James Robinson was an auto due to lack of internet, but again, as RB4 on the side, if he comes back healthy and he does perform, Jack's under the new coach. Yeah, I'm okay with that there. Brady, huge upside, 10th round pick. Same with Gronk there, to be honest. He isn't on the side. He hasn't re-signed. But looking at the rest of the tight ends after him, who went just after him? Mike Gesicki, Robert Tonyan, Albert O. Gronk week by week should outscore those if he does come back and he does play, and he is the Gronk he has been the last few years. So I guess I'm looking for a game winner there and a reception target as opposed to anything else. Corey Davis is other than Elijah Moore, is my favoured wide receiver on the Jets. So again, as you said with yours, you're kind of picking guys that you hope can break out. Now, Cole Kmet is a tight end I really like, more in Dynasty, but I'm hoping he can get some red zone work.
Well, I talked about him in my Fantasy Pros column that should be coming out any day now. As
nice
a positive
self-plug there, like that.
As a positive regression candidate. Very difficult to see him not score last year. I think there's a lot of reasons why he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But if he keeps sustainable workload, he's going to go up 5 touchdowns. He goes up 5 touchdowns, maybe even 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
You're looking at, that's an extra 30 points. That shoots him well up in terms of the tight end rankings from last season. So
that's it. And where the tight ends are here, even if Gronk don't sign, I'm okay leading with Kmet on my side and wavering somebody else that comes.
Someone just asked, do you see Josh Jacobs dropping this low in redraft this year? 5'7". I'd say this is probably the lowest that you might see him, but I don't see him going earlier than like the 4th round.
Who might have took before? Who might have taken before? Etienne maybe coming off an injury. He might have taken before Connor, perhaps. But
I'm looking. So Michael Carter, I think, would go before. I'm not seeing anyone else that I'd say is Elijah Mitchell would go before Jacobs, I think, in redraft. I think other than that, he's kind of, in terms of who's gone before him that wouldn't, no one really. The thing with Josh Jacobs,
23 off the board.
Yeah, I think that's about where I think he's going to be somewhere in that RB 20 to 23 range. I think that's where he is, because with Josh McDaniels doesn't produce too many elite running back performances in this offense. It just doesn't really happen. You think of all the time he was at the Patriots. He's going to adopt a lot of that. He's going to put the ball in the air. They got Devontae Adams. This ball's going in the air a lot. You look at the weapons and where their strengths are. You've got Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, and people besmirch Derek Carr, but actually he's a decent QB. I mean, I'm not saying he's like elite, but he's a decent QB. So you've got the essence of a really good passing attack there. You've got Kenyon Drake there, running back position. I just don't see where Jacobs gets those targets that makes him better than a middling RB2. We just don't see it. So I think you could make a case that he maybe goes, because you and Kevin didn't take RBs till like you took 1. Obviously in the shakeup, I could see him going maybe half a round earlier. If you guys had sort of played, like, if we were calling this a traditional draft and everyone was kind of drafting as they would traditionally, not in terms of analysts or with like that kind of strategy, but just from a home league kind of perspective. But I think if you're taking him any earlier than the 4-7, I think you're reaching. We'll see where ADPs kind of reach out, and I'm prepared to swallow it. But I think at the 5-7, I wouldn't say it's amazing value. I think it's a small value, but I don't think it's like outrageous either. I totally get taking him there. I think that's about what he returns. I probably would have taken Michael Carter first, but I think he will finish. I think he'd be sort of 4-7 to 5-7 range is where he's going to be in drafts this year.
So you're going to put him at that RB sort of 20 round on the year.
Yeah, RB 20 range, I think, is a gut feel right now. But I'm looking at the RBs that have gone ahead of him, and I don't think anyone's egregious here. Again, Travis Etienne with the injury, maybe that might be exactly as you said. That might be the only one. I go, maybe. I can't see anyone else. Unless people really believe Ramondre Stevenson is the second coming and Damian Harris isn't going to get any work. That could happen. but then you just replace him with Michael Carter, and there you go.
Yeah.
He's where he is. So, yeah, I think that's about right. Let's look at Paul's team. So Paul obviously really broke the mold here. I didn't know if you think this was a dynasty
Jefferson
draft.
out of 2.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that too often. I mean, the build's nice. It's a really nice build because you've got him and you've got Andrews. I can't, unless it's Kelsey, I can't. And then listen, people can tell me all day long that, Mark Andrews this and Mark Andrews that. Mark Andrews is a great player and he's going to score points, but I can't see Mark Andrews having the same season as he did last season. I just can't. I just can't see it. There's no logic in that. I'm not sitting here like prophesizing here, but I just think I think what you're going to see here with J.K. Dobbins is going to take work. I think Andrews going to be busy. I think Andrews is a top 3 tight end. I'm not sitting here, but do I think he returns to 211? I just don't. I just can't do it. But then I'm not a tight end guy, so I am biased. I'll stick my hands up here. But I like Akers at 3-2. I think that's good value. I probably would have gone Elliott there, but I think Elliott's criminally slept on. But hey, Etienne, you're gambling upside there. Who knows what Etienne is?
But as you just said, other than maybe Carter, there's no one else behind him that you'd probably take in place of Etienne.
Well, Harris. So. I'd have Harris over Etienne.
Okay.
But yeah, it's I think you got the problem with Etienne is everyone that drafted him is gone. All right, technically the GM's there, but he doesn't know anything. But Urban Meyer probably banged the gavel for him, and he's not there anymore. So actually, you got Doug Pedersen there. The reason I'm not in on Travis Etienne is the way that Doug Pedersen manages running backs in offenses, and we've seen this. In the entire time he has been a head coach in the NFL, his running backs have managed. I think it's 4, maybe it's 5 100-yard games. Okay. It's not many. He uses
and he's still got the competition in James Robinson. Yeah,
exactly that. So I think Robinson and Etienne are going to be used pretty much like, I wouldn't say a 50-50, but I think it's going to be pretty close. They're going to get a lot of work each. And I think that's why I really like your Robinson pick, because I think Robinson there, I would always take the lower of those 2 running backs. And you've got Robinson 4.5 rounds later.
Well, talking of Paul's round there, I was just looking at the next one because he took Chase Edmonds as his RB3 in the 6th.
Yeah, which
in Miami. Well, I'd take most at 11, 5 rounds later there.
I mean that we're in a bit of a guessing.
Can you tell me they're
here.
going to score a lot of difference in points over the year? Probably not.
I think Edmonds' role with his contract says to me that he's going to get a very significant amount of work. The problem with Chase Edmonds is he's not going to score many touchdowns because he just doesn't score many touchdowns. Yeah. So he's capped there. But in PPR, he could catch a lot of he could be quite relevant. If you think the thing is, right, people look at it go 6th round, but also he's going off the board there, running back 27, 28. I think he improves on that. Okay. But I would have rather had, so for me, I would have gone with Kareem Hunt or Cordell Patterson. I think they're 2 players I would have had over Chase Edmonds. But I think outside of that, it's probably not overly egregious. These got chasing with Smith-Schuster, which could be amazing, could be not. Well worth a gamble. I think Michael Gallup's a great pick there. I think he's going to be great. Yeah. I mean, Dak Prescott is a steal at that price at the 9th round. I know I just talked about how I want to take him, but at the 9th round, yeah, I mean, other than Tom Brady there, I'm pretty happy with that. Will Fuller doesn't have a team. No. Might have been a timeout pick. I'm not sure. Kenneth Gainwell, I just don't think he's a thing. No. Cousins is your QB2, solid as anything. MVS, so he's kind of gambling on who's going to be the wide receiver 1 in KC. So he's doubled down on it, which is fine. And he's got MVS so low that if it doesn't work out and he's got it right in Juju Smith-Schuster, he can cut him.
Yeah.
Williams could be a really good pick there. Both Williams is good. And he's gambled on Ingram being a target monster in Jacksonville. It's an interesting team. The problem is he's got such an elite wide receiver up top, and then Cooper, who we didn't even mention. Yes. That running back room is very injury prone. You got Akers, yes, he's fit, but he had most of last season off. You had Etienne, who missed the entire season in a cloudy situation. Edmonds is in a really crowded
roster as well.
backfield.
Yeah.
Gainwell wasn't. I mean, he had a few games, but he wasn't really a big thing. And then you got your handcuff backs. I think that's where that team struggles. If Akers and Etienne come out firing, that's a great team. If it doesn't, that's where the hole in the boat is.
So he's someone who thinks you have to work that waiver wire during the year to try and pick up those popping running backs each week.
But again, we'll talk about this with Kevin's team. What you're doing here is basically saying, well, running back is going to get so heavily injured that as long as you've got guys that are going to fill holes, you'll be okay. That's what Kevin's done. He's gambled with the anchor RB up top with McCaffrey, and then he's went and just got a load of talent in Lamb, Higgins, Metcalf, and Sutton. All four of those are going to perform heavily. So that's your flex spots. That's your wide receiver spots. Hawkinson, everyone kind of expected it to be a big season for him last season. It wasn't. I don't think much has changed. I think Burrow's a reach there. I do think Burrow's a reach. I get it that everyone's sort of high on this performance from the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
That was more NFL play than fantasy play, right?
Yeah, I think
and we get carried away with that a little bit.
And I think there's a little element here. There's no rushing. The difference is, right? So you got Brady, you got Rodgers, who don't really rush for anything, but they put such elite numbers up on the board. The one thing is Burrow could break out even further and he could throw for 5,000 yards. But I think he's going to need to throw for close to 5,000 yards to kind of justify that sort of pick. And you could say there that Rodgers is going to do that. You could say there that Brady's going to do that. You could say there that Prescott probably is going to do that. I'm not so sure, even with that passing heavy offense, that Burrow is quite at that level. But he might be, and that's what you're kind of hoping. If he does, it's a great pick. But he needs to throw for like 4,900 yards to warrant that selection. So then he's gambling here on these RBs getting in better situations. So Pollard, Mattison, Mostert, James White as a PPR. He's got Kadarius Toney for a pure upside. Albert O the same.
I think Mike Kadarius Toney there, 9th round.
I do. I looked at him. My issue with Kadarius Toney is he's going to be one of these players that's going to have. He's a best ball player for me. He's someone I would love to own in best ball. I think he's going to have incredible weeks and he's going to bust a lot. Now, he is Kevin's wide receiver 5. So it doesn't matter. But I think he's someone who is going to have the most amazing weeks and then he's going to have weeks where he's going to do nothing. Because that's the kind of player he is. He's a bit of a gadget player. So I like the makeup of that team, considering what he's still done with the 0 RB strategy or the 1 RB anchor strategy. But you're relying, again, the hole in the boat is if everyone stays healthy, does that team win a championship? And that's not going to happen, which is what Kevin's gambling on. But assume that everyone stayed healthy. That team will be up there, but probably the running backs is where it lets it down. I really like Luke's team. So he's gone very RB heavy early. Cook, Kamara, Elliott. All three are going to be big. You got Judy. Judy's going to be potentially a solid weapon. You got Herbert. Herbert is obviously going to be right up there, top 5 QB. Brandon Ayuk, interesting. If something happens with Deebo Samuel when he gets traded or he goes, that could be a wonderful pick there in that 6th round. Dawson Knox. I'm not so sure on Dawson Knox this year, especially as OJ Howard's there. It could be a bit of a position there, but you backed it up with Schultz, so fair enough. OBJ.
You could almost draft them 2 the other way around there, couldn't you?
Yeah, to be honest, you could. And you got both, so it doesn't really matter. OBJ, I don't know where OBJ goes now, because I don't think he goes back to the Rams. So you're saying he's going to go back to the Rams? I don't know if they put
Robinson.
No, where is he going to go with the Rams?
Can he even play till October, November time, perhaps?
Yeah, I think it's probably...
Unless he's wide receiver 3.
Could have been a timeout. And that's where Luke's hole in the boat is you've got Judy, who's going to be maybe a wide receiver 2. He could be low end in competition wide receiver 1 if he's Russell Wilson's top target. Brandon Ayuk, if Deebo Samuel is there, Brandon Ayuk is at best maybe a wide receiver 3 because they're not a heavy passing offense. OBJ doesn't have a team. Devontae Parker on a low volume Patriots team might be an RB3, wide receiver 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to work that waiver wire hard there. I think JB's team's pretty balanced. He's probably a bit weak at backup running back support. His bye weeks are probably going to struggle at the running back position. But if he gets 1 week, 1 week, 2 off the waiver wire, then he's fine. He's got Eckler, Gibson. I mean, people can sit there and say, well, Gibson, he's had all this time to break out. Yeah. He's a PPR back. He's going to be a mid RB2. Yeah. Maybe it's a bit of a reach there, but you look at who comes off the board. Could have waited and got Dobbins maybe, but he's got Hopkins there in round 3.
Would you maybe take Kamara in that slot instead of Gibson?
Yeah, I probably would have taken. I would have had Kamara, Jones, and Elliott. I would have taken over Gibson, and maybe Dobbins. Depends how Dobbins is with the injury.
Yeah.
I think it's a little reach for Gibson, but I think Gibson's fine. Like, he's going to be a solid player. He's durable. He's going to play a lot of games, so I don't think there's any real issue. But he just doesn't have that big finish in him. Hopkins could be a top 7 wide receiver if he's fit. Yeah. Darren Waller, you're kind of hoping he gets back to where he was, and Josh McDaniels and tight ends. I get it. I think it's a good price at the 4th round. I wouldn't do it because it's not the way I would build a team, but I get it. Mm-hmm. Terry McLaurin depends on the wide receiver situation there, a quarterback situation there, who they get. I mean, they got Wentz, but is Wentz really the guy who's going to unlock Terry McLaurin? Could do.
Not for me.
I don't know. He did well with Pittman. I don't know. Kyler, I love that. 6th round. Yeah, you're doing that all day long. Tyler Lockett. This is the part where you've got great names, and I'm a bit unexcited about these names. I mean, Robert Wood sounds great, but is he going to have a big role in Tennessee, considering they really only support one running back, one wide receiver? Do they really support more fantasy? Yep. Could do. I'm not sure. Tyler Lockett, is he? I mean, if he's not on the Seahawks, he'd go arrow up. Ramondre Stevenson could get a bit more of a role off Damian Harris, but I'm not so sure. Tyler Boyd, I think, is a sensational pick there. I think he's great value. I just can't buy into Mike Gesicki. It just every year we hear about Mike Gesicki this, Mike Gesicki that. He just never does anything consistently. So
it's his second tight end behind Waller, though, right? So
yeah, so it doesn't matter as much. Tannehill, I think, is a solid quarterback backup option. Naheem Hines, as you say, scat back. I reckon he can have a significant role in that offense. Yeah. And then AJ Green, he's not got a team. If he gets one, maybe. And Juku is a 3rd tight end. Could be better than Gesicki, really, to be honest. And then, the Titans D. So I think it's an interesting team. I think if I had to sort of say positives are the starting team on that is really strong. That starting roster is really strong, but the bench is going to need some work. The
starting team is that first 8 rounds right there. He hasn't got no backup players in that.
Exactly that. Then you've got our boys from France here, the French ballers. They picked the Cooper Kupp, Javonte Williams, Josh Allen. I think there's a bit of a reach there, but fine. Josh Jacobs, I think at that price is fine. Love Cooks, Renfro. Interesting to see what happens. Singletary, I think, could be better than if the Bills don't get a running back. They don't draft a running back. Singletary is going to be better than Jacobs this year.
Yeah, I agree. I was looking at Singletary coming back.
The worry is they might draft one. So if they don't, or they don't draft a significant one, I think it's huge. I think having Singletary there is massive. Freiermuth is your tight end. I think that's early. I think, you could have probably waited on Freiermuth. I don't think he goes. You've got Watson. The thing is, this is where I disagree with the strategy a little bit.
So I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, if you've got Josh Allen in the 3rd, you pick your QB2 at the 15th.
Or don't draft one.
Yep.
If you're
he's playing 1 week. He's playing one game, right?
Exactly that. You're drafting an anchor QB to play the whole season, high on the board. If you want to take him in if you want to take a QB in the 16th round, then fair enough. Like, whatever. I'm not going to. But when is Josh Allen's bye week? It's what week? I haven't announced it yet. We don't know. But what happens if Josh Allen's bye week is week 12?
Yeah.
Are you going to carry Deshaun Watson and waste a roster spot for 11 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Well, what if his bye week is week 8 and Watson ain't playing the first half of the
Well, there you go.
year? You may never see that field.
I scratched my head at that one slightly, but Henderson, Michelle, McKissick, Landry. I mean, Landry doesn't have a team, but he will do. I think it's a solid pick in the 14th round. Buccaneers, Zerline. I don't think Zerline. Oh, he's on the Jets now, isn't he? I forgot about that.
He is, yes.
That'd be
Good leg at
interesting.
the Jets.
So I like the team. I don't get the thinking on the Watson pick. I think that's an absolute for what you can get in that range. So, for example, Tyler Boyd goes the pick after Jacoby Myers, even Robbie Anderson if they get a decent QB. I would have gone. I'd have gone either wide receiver there, or I would have gone another running back. Running backs you could have had there.
Most the obvious one.
Most Mattison's
always going to be good for a few games.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a gamble on them, I suppose. But there you go. You got Adams' team now. This is really solid. Harris, Gibbs, Dobbins, Connor. I think Connor's going to get some touchdown regression here, but I still think he's solid. Goddard. I think that was an auto pick, but it's not terrible. Nope. Thielen, Williams, Wilson, Chark. I mean, those first
Thielen or Williams become a bit touchdown dependent, right?
Yeah, but they're in offenses that are going to get them. Yep. So, they're upside players here at this point. Yep. I mean, that you could argue the toss that you should have taken Cooks over Thielen, and you could have argued that you could have got Darnell Mooney instead of Williams. But I like both. I think that those sort of caliber players are never going to steer you wrong unless they get injured. So, you look at that. Your first 3 wide receivers are Diggs, Thielen, and Williams, and your first 3 running backs are Harris, Dobbins, Connor. You have Russell Wilson at QB. Fair enough. You have Goddard at
tight end.
At tight end, you got DJ Chark as your wide receiver. I think is solid.
Yeah,
I think those first 9 picks are great. I think you take the first 9 picks there, probably as solid the first 9 rounds you can have. I don't agree with Shenault. I think Shenault is not anything at all.
We keep hoping year on year. Everyone keeps hoping.
Yeah, but I mean, they've just signed a load of wide receivers. Where's the role for Laviska Shenault now? I don't think there is one.
No.
You know, you've got Marvin Jones there, you've got Christian Kirk there, you've got Zay Jones there. They've all been signed, either by this coaching staff or been signed since Laviska Shenault has been drafted. Laviska Shenault's only 3rd NFL coach. It's not his fault, but I just don't see him being a thing in fantasy football. He might make a few catches this year, but Robbie Anderson, you get Foreman, could be interesting to see what happens there. Marlon Mack, he could end up being the lead back there, which would be phenomenal.
It would be.
Matt Ryan is your QB2. Yeah, Bills D. I mean, that's a great team. Other than the Shenault pick, the Shenault pick's the only one I could really run Adam over the coals with and just say, I think you've binned it, but it's a 10th round pick, so fair enough. Tyreek Hill was an auto pick here for this team, so I think he's not a 1st round pick. Barkley, I mean, you're kind of gambling there whether or not he's going to be great. Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, I think it might be a bit early for Thomas, but don't forget, Michael Thomas a couple of years ago was the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football.
He was coming out.
He's got Jameis Winston now.
Yeah. I was looking at Thomas coming back to me at the end of the 4th.
Yeah, I don't mind taking Thomas in the 4th.
He could be the guy who was.
He's in that Cooper Cup range from last year, right?
Yeah.
He could be your something special.
He's going to win your weeks. Yeah.
I completely agree. So I don't mind that. Michael Carter, I think, is a great pick there in the 5th round. Elijah Moore, can't go wrong. It could be interesting because I think if they get a wide receiver 1, that could hurt more a bit. But then when you're backing up with the DJ Moore and your 5 receivers are Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Michael Thomas, Elijah Moore, and Darnell Mooney. I mean, there's not a better 5 wide receiver set in this draft for me.
I'd argue mine, but we won't go there.
Yeah. I mean, yours is close. So I think, but it's up there. That's my point.
Yeah.
And then you've got Barkley. If Barkley's fit, great.
Yeah.
The running back room here is tough because it's all reliant on Barkley playing 17 games or 16 games or 15 games.
Yeah.
If he does not, that team is going to fall apart because you've got Rashard Penny, who's injury prone. Kenyon Drake is going to have some role, but probably not a fantasy relevant role.
Yeah.
QB is solid. You've got the upside QB of Lance, and you've got a very solid QB.
What do you feel about him taking them back-to-back rounds like that there? I only spoke about one having Allen early and then reaching again in the second of the mid-rounds. What about having them back-to-back? Would you have done that?
I think the fact that it's Trey Lance,
Okay.
and I think Trey Lance is the sort of QB here where he could hit the moon.
Mm-hmm.
He could be like what Patrick Mahomes was in his first season in fantasy terms, not in real terms. So I don't hate it. I wouldn't do it, but I understand it because I wouldn't do it with most other QBs. But I think with Trey Lance, he is the sort of person who could go to the moon. Like he really could. He could be a top 5 fantasy QB. And he could outperform Stafford. So I kind of don't mind that. So yeah, I get it. And again, you're talking double-digit rounds now. I'm not big on Robert Tonyan this year, but then I love the fact you got Irv Smith because I think Irv Smith is massively underrated.
It depends how either of them come back off their injuries, doesn't it?
Yeah. Barrios, I don't think Barrios is a thing this year. I think they're going to get a serious alpha in. They're trying to trade for one, if you'll believe NFL rumor mills.
Even if they don't, he's a wide receiver 3, surely behind Davis and Moore.
Yeah, and he could have a role. I mean, listen, he's their wide receiver 6 on that team, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I can't really kick someone for taking Barrios as a wide receiver 6.
No.
But it's a great team, but it's all dependent on the injuries, the injury health of Barkley. If Barkley goes down, that team is finished.
Yeah.
Then you got JP, Swift, Chubb. I mean, this is just hitting. This is what this draft is like a hitting doubles pretty much every.
I like
round
JP's draft as it went on.
I really love it. Every round, there's probably one pick in here, maybe 2 that I'm not huge fans on, but they're quite late. Swift. I mean, I'd probably go Mixon over Swift, but I get it. I'm not going to rake anyone over that. Chubb, I think, solid there. Mike Evans is a great pick at 310. I think he's huge value. Kyle Pitts, I wouldn't do it, but I get it. I think he's got massive opportunity.
Yeah.
He's the only target there. He's the only show in town in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, 5th round, love it. Devonta Smith, 6th round, love it. Kareem Hunt is a steal in the 7th round.
Chubb as well. If either of them go down, he's laughing.
Love it.
Yeah.
Kirk, why not? He's been paid all that money. He's probably going to have a huge role. You're paying 8th round for him. Why not? Love it. Golladay, I mean, you're getting him in the 9th round, so I can't really kill him. He's not someone I would want on a roster, but I can't. It's not bad. Ertz in the 10th, love it. Julio, I think he's washed, but 11th round, can't really kill you for it. Curtis Samuel, again, you're kind of buying in on is he going to be a thing? Yeah, can't go wrong in the 12th round.
No.
Gaskin, I don't mind Gaskin.
That auto pick there, to be fair.
What's that?
That auto pick, that Gaskin pick.
Yeah, could happen. Mac Jones, I think it's a doubles draft all the way through. I wouldn't say there's like one pick that's like an absolute smash home run, but there's very little to criticize in that draft. I think it's as solid as you're going to get all the way through. That's a playoff team. Like that for me, if I had to pick a playoff team of all of them, that would probably be it. The one I'd say, yeah, that definitely makes the playoffs. Because there's no real question mark over any part. It's just solid. Is it good enough to win the league? I don't know, but it's definitely good enough to make the playoffs. Joe Pepe's team, Mixon, Chase. I just think Chase gets touchdown regression. I couldn't justify taking him over Diggs. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
You look at, there's no way that Chase is going to get that many touchdowns next season off the workload that he did. It's not going to happen. He overperformed by like 7 touchdowns. I'm not gambling on that. George Kittle is George Kittle, right? Everyone takes him every year, and for the few games he plays, he's absolutely brilliant, but he's health dependent. Mahomes in the 4th, I get it. I wouldn't do it. Clyde Soler in the 5th, late 5th. I mean, you're gambling there with Edward Soler and Mitchell. Mitchell in 6th. I mean, that's a steal. I've said what I've said about Mitchell, but in the 6th round, he's worth a punt there. Yeah. I think Claypool's great as a wide receiver too. I do think he improves massively this year, and I think he's got some positive touchdown regression.
Yep.
Again, you got another example here. If you've taken Patrick Mahomes, and now what you're going to do is you're going to anchor him in the 7th or 8th round with Jalen Hurts. It's no sense to me.
No.
When are you ever playing Jalen Hurts? Except for the bye week. It's not going to happen.
No.
And again, you look what he's given up. So what has he given up there? Kirk, who could be a volume monster. He's given up
Singletary could be a sound back if he's got Edwards, Hilaire, and Mitchell there.
I mean, he needs a wide receiver at that range, right? So
Michael Gallup.
So he's given up Michael Gallup. See, I'd take Michael Gallup, Russell Gage, DJ Chark, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Golladay. I mean, that's what he's given up to take Jalen Hurts. Yeah, not for me. Not that Jalen Hurts is worth that pick, just not when you've taken Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Bateman, Ronald Jones is a handcuff. He's now hedging, which is fine. I'm not a huge fan of hedging your own running backs, but
the problem with that is they don't know who's going to be the lead back. That could work out that Jones becomes a favoured back there rather than it be a handcuff as such. So I don't mind it when it's in that sort of situation where it's unknown. It's not like taking a Madison to a Cook. It is an unknown backfield there right now.
Yeah. So Hardman, Patrick. I mean, I love the Tim Patrick pick. I think he massively outperforms ADP there. Nico Collins, I think, is going to take a huge step forward this year. I love that pick. Yeah. Gus Edwards, all day long in the 14th round, could be a huge hit. I know he's come off injury. But yeah, I love that. And then what he's got there. He's a solid team. I just think, the Jalen Hurts pick kind of, the wide receivers there are a little weak. And I think you could have got yourself a really solid wide receiver there you could have got yourself a wide receiver 2/wide receiver 3 there. I think that team kind of needs it. And last one, Adams, Kelsey. I love Kelsey at 2-1. Fournette, Montgomery. First 4 picks are
even the
smashing doubles.
Adam Robinson, I didn't mind.
Yeah, Adam Robinson. In fact, all these picks here are all doubles. Miles Sanders, I think, due massive positive touchdown regression. Cordell Patterson at 7-12. He's no way going to go that low ever again. I think his ADP is going to move him up boards. He's going to be in the 3rd, 4th round, easy. So to get him in the 7-12, I think is a huge steal. Gabe Davis, great pick. Rondale Moore. I mean, I like Rondale Moore. We're waiting to see if he breaks out. Could be a great pick. Worth a chance. By the way, the 9-10 turn, can't kill it. Lazard could be the main guy, might not be, but worth a chance.
Lazard could have. Every other one there, Green Bay's Randall Cobb wasn't drafted in this.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge surprise because
Lazard's the only Packers receiver off the board.
Yeah, I don't think that's a huge shock. I think I think the Packers will end up with a player they draft, and they might trade for one or sign one in free agency. Odell Beckham's still out there. Odell Beckham might end up on the Packers. There's not rule that out, right?
They can come back together. They can come back together.
Yeah, something like that can happen there. They can play. Yeah, they can be the 1-2 punch all over again.
They can leave the Browns, split up, and come back together. Yeah,
the 3rd time. The Fields-Lawrence combo, I think, is really interesting. I mean, listen, they've gone late QB. I don't think there's a QB1 in there. So I think that's where this team kind of falls down a little bit. Keyshawn Vaughn is your handcuff to Fournette. I don't love it. I get it, but I don't love it. It was not something I would do. I think you cap your upside. It's not an ambiguous situation there at all, as you were sort of saying. Peoples-Jones, though, I love. I think that's probably, if I look at steals
wide receiver 2 on the roster, in the Browns.
Yeah, I think that's probably up there, one of the steals of the draft.
Fair.
So yeah, I loved it. I think I've learned a lot from this draft. Actually, I think it's really interesting to see what people have done, and it's interesting to see the picks that have come through. I'm really intrigued by it. I think this is a well worth doing exercise. So yeah, I love it. What do you think?
I enjoyed it. It's one of my first redrafts. It's not best ball. It's not dynasty that I've done. As I say, it's incredibly early for the redraft season to be looking at these things. So I'm gutted I missed 1 or 2 on my roster, but actually looking at my roster, I'm okay with that. I think I've got a shot at the playoffs with what I've built there in a PPR league. So yeah, I enjoyed it. There's a few players that have surprised me where they went.
Who were they? So who shocked you here? I mean, like the Tyreek Hill one. Let's excuse that because that's a timeout.
Yeah.
Who has shocked you here? Who is
Jerry Jeudy?
Okay,
the first one that comes to mind. 4-8 because Jeudy and where are we looking? PPR wide receiver 84 last year off 10 games. Year before wide receiver 47. Has he delivered something to be worth 4.8?
Well,
Has he delivered more than DJ Moore?
yeah, but
DK
he's
Metcalf,
had the
Chris
worst
Godwin?
QB situation
I get that.
in the NFL.
I get
Jerry
that.
Jeudy for me is
But
one
you're
of
still
the
betting a
best.
hunch at 4.8, right? DJ Moore's got a horrible QB situation. I'd take DJ Moore over Jerry Jeudy every month of the year.
I'll be honest with you. I'd take Chris Godwin over them both, and I'm really glad that Chris Godwin fell to me at the 4.12. But having said that, if you gave me the choice between DJ Moore and Jerry Jeudy, I'd go Jerry Jeudy because I think Jerry Jeudy has the
Because of
higher
upside.
upside.
I get that. I do get that.
But I think that's what
as your wide receiver one.
Yeah, I think that's what. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one because it's your wide receiver one. I mean, to be honest, the team probably needed to anchor another running back, and if you know what you do now, retrospectively, right? This is where retrospectively hurts you. He could have, in theory, skipped over Herbert, taken one of, let's see, McLaurin, Robinson, one of those two, right? He could have taken McLaurin or Robinson, right? And then taken one
Herbert would have been there on the way back.
Well, no, he wouldn't. He would have gone one pick before, but he could have got Burrow, Rodgers, Prescott, Hurts, Wilson. He could have got one of them. So he could have gone slightly quarterback down, but he would have gone a bit safer in his wide receiver room. I mean, this draft is now. Well, this draft is now purely anchored on his draft. If Jerry Jeudy is a wide receiver 1 / high end 2, then this team goes. This team goes. If it doesn't, and he falls to wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 range, then this team's a bust because there isn't.
Shall I tell you what this shows to me? This time last year, Ayak was being taken maybe 5th or 6th round, and Debo coming off injury was being taken 11th, 12th round, right?
Yeah.
And we're in a similar situation. Cortland Sutton after Jeudy, I would take Sutton all day long. I think he's a better.
He's not much after Jeudy. I mean,
he wasn't actually. That surprised me.
It's very close between them.
A bit further, but I would take Sutton over Jeudy as a wide receiver 1 on the Broncos.
My philosophy on the Broncos wide receivers is similar in the sense of I would take the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I would take the second one. I would take the player who is the lower ADP.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's going to be a huge amount to choose between them, if I'm honest with you. I don't know that for sure. We need to find out training camps and things like that.
Yeah.
But my initial sense is I think because they're all new, everyone's like, it's a new situation. You've got a new QB there. I think it's going to be interesting to see who actually becomes the favorite target. Because we know
I guess
Russell
similar
Wilson,
to the Rams last year, right? Because we had Cup and Woods being taken a similar stage, and Stafford and Cup excelled. I know Woods went down with
what was
injury.
slightly different with that was that Cooper Kupp is very much like he's a one-dimensional slot receiver who is just phenomenal at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to garner that high amount of targets. Don't forget, Woods was injured last year. He actually was thriving in roles. He was performing reasonably well with Stafford. It would have been interesting to see where he would have finished up had he played the whole season. I think the difference here is that I think Jeudy and Sutton play not similar roles, but in the sense of they're both outside perimeter players.
Mm-hmm.
Sutton maybe plays a little bit more underneath. Jeudy's one of the best route runners I've seen in college. I think he's an absolutely terrific wide receiver. He's like a Rolls Royce for me.
I don't doubt that, but he hasn't brought it to the NFL for me yet.
No, but he's had Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater throwing balls that are like nowhere near him. So, like, at the end of the day, you're only as good as whoever throws you the ball. So, I think, one thing we'll say, this is Jerry Jeudy's make or break year. If Jerry Jeudy wants to be an elite wide receiver, he needs to really kick on. But I think these two are going to be similar to the Lockett and Metcalf debate.
Yeah.
But the difference was last season with Lockett and Metcalf was that Lockett was going in the 6th round, nearly 7th round, and Metcalf was going in the second. And I was always saying, do you know what? Give me Lockett. Give me Lockett. They're pretty much the same. Yeah. For the 4-round difference, you're getting a much better return. I don't know where the ADP is going to shake these two, but I would just buy the lower one, just because I think you're going to get better value.
Fair. And I guess that's almost similar with Higgins over Chase right now. If you're expecting Chase to regress slightly on that,
Well, I think Chase only regresses on touchdowns. I think he massively
Okay.
overperformed, and I think, yeah. I mean, where's he?
Higgins is 3-3. Just a round
Yeah.
later.
So no, I mean that's not enough for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't think I can see. The thing is, I don't think I could take Chase that high. I just think not over Diggs, not over Samuel, not over Lamb was high. I mean, I was surprised on that one. I love your Deontay Johnson pick. I hope he doesn't go that high, but I do love it. I'm very high on Deontay Johnson. I have a Deontay Johnson signed jersey that we're giving away at some point in the season in my room.
Nice.
I'm a big Deontay Johnson fan.
Me too.
I said this last season that he was going in the 5th or 6th round, and I auto picked him everywhere. I was like, thanks very much. I'll take him in the 5th or 6th round in every single draft. Yeah, I think I think the big shakers. I think Cooper will go a little bit higher because there'll be some buzz on him. I think Cooks. I'm surprised Cooks went 6'6". He's normally an 8th round player pretty much in every year he ever gets drafted. So
I think people are starting to come on to that effect now, though.
Yeah, it's annoying because I've enjoyed picking him a lot over the last few years. No, this was really good. I guess I didn't really know what to expect, but I've enjoyed it. I think it's been phenomenal.
It has been good. Thank you for the opportunity on that one.
Well, thank you for hosting and running it. It was good.
No trouble,
Fun draft. Next week we have a phenomenal guest. I genuinely cannot wait for next week's guest. Someone who I just think is truly inspirational in this space, and I advise you all to bring a notebook and pen because it's going to be very, very informative hour with our guest next week.
Super. Anything else you want to add then, Murf, before we wrap this?
What's going on with the UK FFC? Tickets still on sale?
Tickets are still on sale. We are very limited now. We're up to kind of 80% sold on tickets. Last guest announced was Tom Strachan, Best Ball Tom, for those of you that know him. That completes one of our panels. So the first complete panel we have is... Oh, you got me now. Liam, Jack, Humphrey, and Best Ball Tom. And that's going to be having a look at how DFS strategy is making its way into redraft, basically. Best Ball strategy there. So there's some experts in the field that I'm sure will be able to help. So yeah, check out @_UK FFC. Very limited tickets remaining. Make sure you get yours before they do go. Perfect.
It's going to be great. Looking forward to seeing as many people there as possible. We have a stand there, so that's exciting.
You do.
Looking forward to that. Trying to think if there's any other announcements. Don't think so. I think we're just going to plow on through the month of April. It's Easter, so I wish everyone a very, very happy Easter. Do overindulge on chocolate and whatever it is that you eat this time of year. Lamb. What else?
It's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh, you kept that quiet.
Just to poke that in there. Yeah, I won't give it, but it is. I'm getting old now. You don't mention your birthdays when you get old.
22. God.
Yeah, right. With this hairline, no chance, mate.
Oh, mate, many happy returns. Mate, that's awesome. What are you doing for it?
Working. I'm not big on birthdays. We're working. Got a family wedding at the weekend, so I'll see all the family then. So, yeah, I'll have a takeaway or something in the evening, I'm sure.
Well, I hope you get spoiled by the wife and kids, and you better. I want to see lots of updates. Well, there's quite a few people whose birthdays are at the moment. So Stocks' birthday's it's a week today, actually. I thought it was this week. So yeah, few people got April birthdays. Lots of people.
Best month. All the best people are born in April.
Yeah, Phil Bushby's birthday. Lots of people. So
Simo can be for Phil. Yep.
Yeah, Simo turned 50. Happy birthday, Simo. God, you're stacking them all up. So, mate, happy birthday for tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Yeah, let's get out of here and go enjoy the evening.
Great. Cheers, Muff.
Thanks, everyone. And as always, don't forget, keep rushing.